President Francis, I know you're from Trinidad and Tobago,
Yes.
and no doubt over the years you've seen your home country change and evolve with climate change.
Yes.
What have you seen over the years?
In Trinidad and Tobago and in most of the Caribbean, where I'm from, there are only two seasons of the year. The rainy season, which starts in July and ends in November, and the dry season, which starts in December and goes to June. And over the years, increasingly, the dry season has become the wet season, and the wet season has become the dry season. This is, I remember once thinking that even the vegetation is confused. It used to be, for instance, that mangoes would be very plentiful and very cheap in August, September, October, November. Now, you can hardly find mangoes, and when you do, extremely, extremely expensive. So this has had an impact on the cost of living, but also physically, you drive around the country and you can actually see land being lost to the sea through erosion, the encroachment of the sea. There's a part of the country on the east end, in a place called Manzanilla, which incidentally consists of maybe 10 or 15 miles of coconut palms. You're driving for 10 or 15 miles in the middle of a road fringed with coconut palms. And it's called Coconut Cathedral because they come together. And that road has had to be rebuilt on at least 3 occasions in the last 10 years because of encroachment from the sea. So we are living with the effects of climate change. Flooding, sporadic flooding, has become a major, major problem in the capital city of Port of Spain and in some of the other smaller towns. And it's unseasonal. It's unseasonal. Government is having to provide assistance and support to households to recover from sporadic flooding.
President Francis, do you feel that mechanisms such as COP28 will make a difference and we'll see climate action by 2030? SDG goal number 13.
My hope is, my desire is that it would be so, that we would see a difference by 2030. Normally, every day, I'm wearing it. My 1.5 degree pin. I've worn this pin every day, even before I became president of the General Assembly. Because the 2 degrees threshold for global warming above post-industrial level, pre-industrial levels, will not suit small island developing states. In fact, it will imperil them. What we need is a 1.5 degrees. And even with that, it is acknowledged that the temperature of the global atmosphere will rise a little bit above. But our chances of survival would be significantly improved by maintaining the 1.5 degree threshold. So I'm hopeful that this will be a really transformational outcome at this COP. And by that I mean increased climate finance, increased allocation to adaptation, because most of the money in climate finance at the moment really is directed at mitigation. However, mitigation, as important as it is not going to prevent or avert the catastrophes that come with having to rebuild public infrastructure every 2 or 3 years, as is the case in the Caribbean when the Atlantic hurricane season hits. People in the Caribbean live with anxiety every year because we know that the hurricanes are coming, and it's really a question of which of the islands are going to be hit and maybe have their total economy destroyed in a space of maybe 4 or 5 hours. while the hurricane passes. So increased climate finance, increased funding for adaptation, and of course the issue of loss and damage, the capitalization of that fund. Extremely important. Means of implementation is what is needed to assist and support the most vulnerable countries who, incidentally, as you know, contributed the least to the problem of climate change. The carbon footprint of Caribbean countries is minuscule in relation to the carbon footprint of the major emitters. In fact, there are some countries that have a negative carbon footprint, Suriname being one of those. So we are there's a sense in which we are at risk of being punished twice. We've been punished because we are the victims of climate change that we did not cause, but also we are being punished because the funding necessary to assist and support us to cope and to manage in this new situation has not been made available at the pace and on the scale necessary for us to cope.
President Francis, thank you so much for joining us.
You're very welcome.